on people, how you doing? I hope you're having a fantastic damn day. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be showing you guys Southampton's 4-3-2-1 tactics under the likes of Russel Martin. If you do enjoy this video, as per always, please hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new. We are on the road to 4,000 subscribers. If we could hit it before the month of February, I would lose my goddamn mind. And I might do something very, very special in terms of tactics. I might do like a double tactics day or something like that. Something really, really special if we can before the beginning of February. So it's up to you guys. If you are watching this video and you have not subscribed, hit that big red subscription button. Now let's hop on straight into the video. So for the formation going forward, it is a 4-3-2-1 system, and the only real change I have made is the two central forwards that play just behind the striker. I've converted them into two wingers. So essentially it is one goalkeeper, two centre backs, two fullbacks, three central midfielders. Yes, the one is slightly deeper, two wingers, and then of course one striker. So moving on to the tactics of Southampton under the likes of Russel Martin, I think the tactical vision that best suits what this side can do is more or less wing play. They tend to work the ball out to their wingers who will hold up the ball, and they also try and surround their wingers with supportive players such as an inverting fullback or one of the central midfielders looking to drift into those wider areas and try and help supply space or another passing option for them. As for the defense and the defensive style of things, it's set to pressing after possession loss. Countless times this season I've seen Southampton turn the ball over and work really, really hard into trying to win it back. And when they have won it back, those situations and those opportunities have turned into goal scoring opportunities for their forwards. As for the team width, it is set to 50. Now I will also say this: if you are trying to see out a game or something like that, drop it down to around a 25. Obviously that will compact your backline a lot more, keep them structurally sound, make sure it's very hard for the opposition to try and fit players in between the lines, and obviously have the offense ticking over. But more so, they tend to go 1v1. So they'll match up with the opposition backline, or the forward line, sorry, and try and outmuscle and outman them in certain moments. As for the depth, it is set to 70, which is considered a high line in FC 24. Now, this is also to try and help you in possession, right? We are trying to implement a high press as well, and it also encourages your fullbacks to get nice and high up the field. But at the same time, you are susceptible to the counter-attacks. But because you are teetering on the line of mid-block / high line, you won't always be exposed, which does help you more times than not. I would recommend, personally for me, my tactics and whatnot, 70 is probably the best possible line to play because, like I say, it borders on high line as well as mid-block at times. Onto the offense and the build-up play, I've set it to balance. Now, the likes of Hardwood, Bellis, and the likes of Stevens and so on, they do tend to play those long balls over the top into the forward line, trying to exploit the opposition with the space in behind. You do have very pacey forwards that can definitely make those runs, but at the same time, they also play a possession-based style of football. So you want to have the slow build-up. You want to be interchanging those little 5-yard passes in the midfield as well as in the backline in certain moments. So that's why a balanced approach best represents and suits Southampton. As for the chance creation, like I said, it's set to possession. You'll look to try and have supporting players in and around, popping up in those little half spaces, looking to have the ball pass into them, and the pass and movement should be there. And because it's also set to balance the build-up play, you won't have your fullbacks bombing on and running very quickly down the line and looking for that long ball over the top all the time. They will look to try and support in certain moments, especially with the build-up play from the back and progressing it through the final thirds. As for the width, it is set to 70. This is to try and get your wingers out wide a bit more and have your fullbacks obviously in those wider positions in certain moments. But again, your fullbacks will mainly be inverting into the midfield, helping out, letting an extra body in there when required. But at the same time, you want to try and stretch and open up as much space on a horizontal plane for your attackers to try and work with. As for the players in the box, I've set it to 8. Southampton tend to overload the opposition with players in and around the attacking third. So you can set it to 9, but I think that's just a bit too much of an overkill type situation. If you are chasing a game, by all means set it to 9 or 10, but a nice happy balanced medium will probably be it's set to 8, right? And this will also encourage one of your central midfielders to make that run into the final third as well. As for the corners and the free kicks, as per always, I've set it to 4. Now, starting off with the instructions at the back with Bazunu, a very good young goalkeeper. Now, of course, last season with Southampton was his first season and they got relegated, but I think there are quite a few positives to his game. And as we've seen him develop, I think going forward he has a very, very bright future, for him. Anyway, for the saving outside of the box, I've set him to a super keeper. Of course, this goes hand in hand with playing a high line. You need a proactive and reactive goalkeeper to be able to charge off of his line, claim the ball under pressure, and then, of course, circulate it back out into play. At the same time, when you are looking to invite the press on, you need a good goalkeeper that is good under pressure to also be able to find those passes. and I think Bazunu is very good at doing so. As for the saving on crosses, however, he has shown that he is very good at reading the game, don't get me wrong, but he has shown to make mistakes every now and then. So that's why I think more of a balanced approach for him, a very situational type situation where he can look to claim the cross, or he can look to try and stay on his line and make the saves. I think that best suits his mentality as well as his real life persona. So now moving on to our two centre backs, of course we've got the likes of Hardwood Bellis as well as Begnarak. They've got the same set of instructions as well, and both of those instructions are set to conservative interceptions. Now because you have very aggressive fullbacks that play nice and high up the field, you don't really want your centre backs to be able to step out or be caught out and break the defensive shape and structure at the back. So more so, interceptions need to be set to conservative so that they can maintain their shape in those defensive situations. As you can see for the likes of Begnarak, he's got the same set of instructions as well. Out wide now to your fullbacks who have a wider starting position, but they will inevitably invert into the midfield. So their support runs, or their attacking runs I should say, is set to join the attack. The interceptions is set to aggressive. Now this is to try and obviously help with that very aggressive press that Southampton tend to implement. I've seen the likes of Kyle Walker-Peters as well as Manning be very aggressive with trying to win the ball back more times than not, so you do want them to try and have that and replicate that in your game. As for the run type, it is set to inverted. Now I also have seen every now and then they also tend to try and overlap the wingers in some moments, but I think with what Russell Martin is trying to do with the Southampton team is play with inverted fullbacks. As for the defensive positioning, it is set to step up. They get nice and high, nice and tight to their opposition player, whether it's the winger or the wing back. They'll get nice and high, nice and tight, and be very aggressive and imposing on them, making sure that the opposition player knows that they're there. As you can see for the likes of Kyle Walker-Peters, he has got the same set of instructions as well. Into our midfield now, the likes of Downs, who is essentially one of the central midfielders, but he's got a slightly deeper rate, which is why I've essentially just dropped him down ever so slightly, but he is not a DM. But in order to replicate this role, he's set to stay back while attacking, so the other players have the free range to get forward. And I also have noticed that it's a very rotational type system. So some moments Aribo might be in the downs role. Other times the likes of Armstrong could be in the Aribo role. It really is rotational and situational in certain moments. But for the support on crosses, I've told him to have a balanced approach for the attacking. For the support in the box. So sometimes he'll be able to break into the box, other times not so much. The interceptions is set to normal, and this goes hand in hand with him trying to also keep his shape and his structure in the midfield when the potential counter-attack for the opposition is on. As well as the defensive positioning is set to cover the wing. If your fullbacks are out of position, you would require the likes of Downs, Aribo, and Armstrong to try and drift into those wider areas of the pitch and try and pick up the runners, as well as trying to man mark certain players. As for the positioning freedom, this helps with the rotational approach of this offensive system. I've told him to have a free roam role. So now moving on to your other midfielders, of course, we've got the likes of Armstrong and Aribo. For the likes of Armstrong, he will be the most attacking of the three midfielders, so that's why you want him to get forward for the attacking support, as well as having the ability to break into the box, being very involved in trying to latch onto the cutbacks or the crosses. Southampton tend to create and provide a lot of cutback opportunities for the late runs into the box for the midfielders. The interceptions is set to normal, as well as the cover the wing approach. Like I said, they're going to try and drift into those wide areas, pick up the runners, pick up the men, try and man mark in certain situations, especially if the fullbacks are out of position. And then just like with the likes of Downs, your other midfielders are also going to have a free roam role. Onto the likes of Aribo now, so he will have a bit more of a box-to-box type role. He also has the ability to drop a bit deeper with the likes of Downs, help with the builder play, show for the ball from the goalkeeper restarts or from the potential situations of your centre-backs having the ball and obviously looking to try and get on it as much as possible. So the attacking support is set to balanced. The support on crosses is set to also get into the box, being able to break into the box, creating those late run opportunities. Interceptions is set to normal, as well as cover the wing and free roam. Onto your wingers now, or your secondary forwards. They are both set to having a basic defensive support, so they can also look to try and stay up the field a bit more for the potential counter-attacks that will inevitably happen. The chance creation is set to stay wide, so even though they have a natural narrow positioning, they will look to drift wide, drift into those open spaces in those wider channels, and obviously open up a bit more space for the underlapping or inverted fullbacks. The support runs is set to get behind, and more so, this helps with the ability to play off the shoulder of the backline, as well as having the ability to have one of your centre-backs, the likes of Hardwood Bellis, play those long balls in behind. As for the interceptions, it is set to aggressive, as well as their ability to also be able to break into the box, attack those crosses, attack the cutbacks, and be very involved in the attacking outlets. As you can see for Edozie, he's got the same set of instructions as well. Onto the likes of Shea Adams now, he's set to stay central and be a target man. Also, he does tend to drop quite deep, which is why I've told him to come back on defense. This obviously gives him a slightly deeper starting rate and allows for the wingers to try and work into the more central spaces, sometimes, every now and then, work into those central spaces, attack the open space, because obviously the natural centre forward has dropped off, allowing for a bit more space to be opened up. But more so, you want the likes of Adams to be a target man for his innate attacking ability, right? The ability to pop up in those little spaces in and around the box, as well as having the ability to hold the ball up and find those little passes in and around the opposition's third. The interceptions is set to aggressive, and this goes hand in hand with the very aggressive counter press that you are looking to try and implement more times than not, and also having the ability to win the ball back when it has been lost. So yes, people, that is what I would do for a Russel Martin 4-3-2-1 system. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment if you would like, obviously. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. If we do hit 4K before February, I will do like a day where I release like 4 different tactics videos or something of your choice, obviously. And out of 10, I would probably give this a 6.5 rating, and that's only because I don't overly enjoy using the 4-3-2-1 system just as a whole. I think the tactics are very solid. I think the instructions for the players are very solid, and they work quite well. But personally, I just don't enjoy it that much. So yeah, but anyway, we move. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for getting to this point in the video. Mad love, mad appreciation. I'll see you guys tomorrow.